That exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, JioSaavn, Podchaser, and more. And I am your hashtag positively opinionated host here for its 11th year season. And we are on show/podcast 941. So glad you are joining me today. This is a show about hope and happiness, so we have no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kanye talk at all, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So we have topics, guests. Let's see, Dr. John Gray. I'll be referencing him today because he is the relationship expert, my staff expert on this show. Today we're talking about insecurities and intimacy, just to give you a little heads up, and maybe you want to share this with some of your friends so they can come and get a little 8-cent opinion or attitude from myself. And this morning, my special series on Thursdays, Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
Sam Works.
And we get every Thursday to just put it all on the table, on laying down on the table. Straight talk about different topics that might be contributing to your unhappiness in your relationship. So we're happy to have Sam this morning. We're going to start right off with breakfast with Sam and I, where we get to say what we are grateful for. It's a little exercise that I started about a year ago that is going to help you work that muscle to get you out of bed in the most positive way possible. So, Sam, this morning, what are you grateful for?
You know, I'm grateful to have a job. First of all, some people are like, oh, I have to go to work. But really, you should be thinking, hey, I get to go to work, right? I get to make some money. I get to provide for myself. And I'm grateful I'm able to do that.
Yeah, I am grateful that I can fix Sam's headline or byline lower third as I'm doing my gratitudes because he didn't put it in. I am grateful for, let's see, being able to do toning and exercise without having to go to the gym. There's so much on YouTube and so many ways in which you can stretch and relieve your body of aches and pains on your own.
That's good. I'm grateful to have a car, being able to drive anywhere and everywhere I want to go, rather than traveling on foot. So I know that's tough for some people. So,
whoops, you got to fix your own name there. I am grateful that I got it. I am grateful that let's see, what am I doing today? Today I get to see a movie tonight. Usually Tuesdays are my movie days, but I had Mahjong on Tuesday. And so I'm going to see the Fast X, I think it's called, with my movie buddies. So that'll be fun.
Is that like the 10th Fast and the Furious movie or something?
Yes, it is. I was never into that, but I really have a new respect. Actually, I started watching it after I heard that Paul Walker. Yeah, that he had gone to the other side. And that's when and then what's the bald guy's name? I'm so bad with names.
Diesel.
Van Diesel.
Van Diesel.
Yeah, I love his character. He seems like that in real life, so I really enjoy his sort of. It's not just dry, but there's something very fun about him. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What else am I grateful for? You know, I am grateful for city lights. When it gets dark at night, the city lights are on, and it's a nice thing to see.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
And I'm grateful. I'm gonna use Sam's. Polly's actually. Polly was grateful this morning when I was checking in. Normally I ask him to contribute and he won't because he's shy, but he said that he was grateful for living in California because anywhere in
Ooh.
California, you're an hour away from mountains. He likes mountains. I love the beach, whatever you want. So truly gratitude for living in California. Thank you, Paul, for that. You had no idea I was going to do that. And then my last gratitude is we get to go and connect with people. I said Mahjong is my foodie Mahjong group, meeting in person, going to movies again in person. So, the fact that the restrictions from COVID really made me appreciate now maybe something that I took for granted before. So super grateful for, we made it through. I don't think people are really celebrating the fact that it's not that it's still not here. I know more people right now in my close circle who have it. It's like, what the fork happened? But the fact that they took the emergency notifications off and the CDC's changing something, I think we need to give ourselves a giant round of applause, standing ovation for making it through. Right?
Right.
Right? All right. And now to the bottom of the bun, it is time for appreciations. What do you like about yourself? Because frankly, if you can't approve of yourself, how the fork do you think other people will? So if you want good mental health, the foundation piece is self-care, self-worth, self-esteem, self-love, self-soothing. So all of that. So we're practicing that. I appreciate that I am like an energizer bunny. I just keep going and going and going. And I, even when I'm exhausted, I still go because eventually that exhaustion turns to appreciation. Like now. Go ahead.
I like that. I appreciate that I'm easygoing. I'm not stubborn or stuck up, and I kind of just go with the flow. So
yes, you do. I'm looking
Yes.
for something right now. I appreciate that I am learning how to live and let live. I'm a recovering control freak. I want, things to be a certain way. I want people to be a certain way. I want situations to be a certain way. And when they're not, my feathers are rattled, especially my tail feathers. And now I am learning to just, it is what it is. And when I do that, I feel better.
I appreciate that I have that ability for people to let their guard down and just be comfortable and, be relaxed around me and everybody else. It's nice to have that because I get that every so often. So
You get that from me?
no, I get it. I get
Oh.
it often. People are like, I don't know why I just open up to you like da 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 da. Like, it's good. It's a good thing.
I appreciate that I have been able to, for reasons unknown, although my discipline in the morning is to take vitamins. I've been taking before I was taking emergency, and then I looked up the ingredients and found a more. I shouldn't say that. Anyways, I take the stuff that zinc and all of those vitamins in the morning. And I can say, knock on wood, that I found out I am a Novid, which is no COVID, or COVID super dodger, or a COVID virgin. Those are what they're calling those of us who have not had COVID yet through this pandemic. Did you know that? It was a really interesting article on BU Today, Boston University. And that's my first place that I taught as a professor, Boston University in Brussels. So I appreciate that for whatever reason, I have been able to stay a COVID virgin.
Well, I can't say the same, but.
Well, I think it's a very small percentage. I think it's like, I saw it somewhere, 7%, 8%. Not a lot of people. But then you don't know who's not reporting and all that stuff. But anyways.
Yeah, it gets complicated.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, I still have that willpower to keep going. I do have my lazy days. I do slow down every once in a while, but I keep pushing. So.
And I appreciate that I don't push as much anymore, and I allow for the good things to come into my life that are already formulated, because I believe my belief system is that I live in a friendly universe that's always conspiring for me, never against me, that everything that I have ever wanted in my life is already done. And all I need to do is line up with it. And when I line up with it, it just manifests in my life. And that's what's been happening for the last 14 years. And that is the fundamental belief BS that I hold of the law of attraction, is that I don't have to push so much, but if I just stay in the most positive mood possible, then it just continues to flow into my life. And, time and time again, everything good that's happened to me, the number one best-selling book, the number one show at 8 a.m., the number one, all these things were never in my, it was really one of those, oh, you're kidding me. So I'm really, really appreciate understanding the law of attraction more now. Mm-hmm. And I know that you are, the young people are starting to really recognize that. I just giggle when I meet young people and they say to me, oh, I love the law of attraction, because they know that I talk about it. And it's really wonderful to see that this whole, rat race, dog eat dog, climb on people's backs, that whole way of living is sort of, our young people, you may accuse them of being lazy or disrespectful, but I'm glad that they're getting that understanding that you really don't, if I have doesn't mean you can't have. And I'm not taking from you. There's more than enough to go around. If you missed my interview with Brother Ishmael Tete, who takes the laws of nature and happiness that's abundant in our universe, go to my YouTube, free subscribe and watch that, because it's phenomenal. He breaks it down. Sorry, that was a long one. One more. One more appreciation. Yeah, one more. Woo. I started that one.
I appreciate that I'm young. I still have so much to do in my life, and right now is a good time to continue on and keep going. So
good. Yeah, I'm glad you appreciate it, because I can't say that when I was young I didn't really understand the finiteness of this roller coaster called life, and this joyride called life. I have about 8,888 days left. And when people say, why do you do so many things? And it's because I know I ain't living in this body forever. And I want to make sure every single day I don't get a do-over. So I want to juice the living bejeebies out of my life to get the most satisfaction possible. So, man, I'm on fire this morning. Thank you for having breakfast with Dr. Marissa and
Same works.
Here on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, streaming everywhere. The station that leaves no listener behind. And now, what are we talking about today? You want me to read it?
Yes, read it for us.
Bullies and the damage that keeps on giving. Is it following you into the bedroom? Are insecurities planted in your past growing like weeds, choking up your love life? Join Sam and I as we straight talk about things that may be negatively affecting your happiness in your romantic relationships and how to drop the BS belief system. You can tell I was drinking my creative juices last night, putting that topic together. So you're young. I don't even know if you have insecurities. You have mentioned at some point about some things that you were more so the bully, but I will give you that question. I think you mentioned that Polly is the witness that you were not necessarily the nicest guy when you were younger. You can admit to anything you want. This is Vegas.
This is Vegas.
Only 160,000 per 15 minutes are going to be listening to this show. So what would you like to admit to?
You know, when people bully, okay, there's two things they talk about to other people typically, which is they say either you're broke or like you're bad in bed, right? Because that's just
or you're ugly, like some effect of your physical appearance.
Yeah, so those three things for sure.
Okay.
Those three things.
Thank you.
And honestly, that can take a toll on some people, you know, especially when it comes like going into the bed, because that is something that, you know, like I said before, it's not sacred, but it's not to be known to the public, right? So a lot of people, they have securities when it comes to the bed. It's not practiced every day, you know, it's not something that is like a sport, you know, and it can really affect some people mentally, which destroys their performance physically, you know, and it's not something to I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend bowling in general, you know.
So let's focus on the two. The broke thing, you know, you can still, hey, there's gigolos, or I shouldn't say, I mean, there's people who are, I guess gigolos are not broke, but Brokeback Mountain, no, not going there. Okay, the two things, if you have been bullied about the way you look, I had a great guest on yesterday. Superman is for real. He had his leg amputated at age 11 after 33 surgeries up to that point, trying to figure out what was wrong with him physically. And he shared some horrific things that were said and done to him as a child with a prosthetic or a no leg, right? It was horrible. It was just heartbreaking. You know, kids would run around with a stick with a shoe on top and say something about, you know, him, and it's just horrible. I know I have experienced that with this guy. I was 14, walking first year to high school through the backwoods, not woods, but a field that's now a development in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, a very small town. And a guy rode by on his bike, and he took a look at me and went, ugly. And it takes a lot for me to not hear that voice when I am, especially when my critic will grab onto it, the critic that's in my head. And no matter if I'm having like a bad hair day, or if I feel puffy, wake up with a fat and ugly tack, that will come to mind. Now, I had really thick glasses. I was a -9, didn't have contacts yet. I was overweight. and very, poor posture. And my mom was not Miss Fashion. So I had to wear like that polyester pants. And it was just not pretty. Like, he was telling the truth in the sense that, yeah, I don't even think if he was necessarily a bully. He was a bully, but I mean, it was one of those, he was telling the truth. So those days of that reality for me definitely continue to feed into the body dysmorphia. And so when I'm naked in bed with someone, I have to work really, really hard, pun intended, to not go there. And that's my work, because I am hurting my own ability to have pleasure, to enjoy the moment, staying out of my head and focused on somebody else's head is so not normal. Like, it really takes an effort, and I can't wait for the day. And that's why when Dr. John Gray said, for men in bed, to during the lovemaking, if you want to make it lovemaking, you, as you are in coitus, to say to your partner, your women partner, because this is what raises our estrogen, is to look in our face and say, "You're beautiful. I love you. You're the love of my life. I can't believe that that I get to be with you. You're so beautiful." Like that during lovemaking makes sex into lovemaking. And now I understand why, when a guy cups my face when he's kissing me, why that is such a turn on, is because as strong as I am, and as much as I lead with testosterone a lot of the times because of what I do and who I am, I know deep down that he's telling the truth around, I have suppressed some of the feminine side of me, that vulnerable side of me that admits that I would love to be held and cherished, and what do you call this? It just in that place of complete nourishment for my body, and loved for my body, not just for my mind.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely say one of the biggest factors when it comes to like in the bedroom and stuff is being relaxed, right? Because like you said earlier, when you have stuff on your mind and you can't, you're so like into your head, you can't focus on something else's head.
Which head, Sam?
You know which head.
Yeah.
It is important, and I think when it comes to sex, it's not supposed to be selfish. You're not supposed to do it just to get yourself off. You know what I mean?
Literally.
It's definitely about expressing yourself to the other person.
I'm getting hot.
But when you have society, judging you, or putting things in your head, it messes it all up, and I feel like that's just something that a lot of people, like, that's what they go to when they bully. They're like, oh, so and so, da da da, and it's like, it may not be true, but it's gonna stick with you,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the more people that say it to you, the more you're gonna start to believe it, regardless if it's true or not,
Yeah. So. And I think that there is a difference between men and women on this, and there's also just difference on some types of personality. So if you're an overanalyzer, the likelihood that you are, not present in the moment of that pleasure is pretty high. And I would say most women also, men seem to have that. Well, they do. It's just a gender difference, single focus orientation. So when they're on a mission to either please the woman or please themselves, there's really nothing that's going to, move them off of that track. But for women, we're natural multi-focus, even though the the research these days says that there's no such thing as multi-focus. It's single focus on a multiple amount of things. But that distraction factor for us really is detrimental to enjoying, and maybe that is why it takes us longer to warm up. If
Mm.
yeah, it just occurred to me. The research does say that we need 14 minutes at least to warm up, where a man is 30 seconds on that acceleration. I know those numbers are, that's the, 47% of statistics are made up on the spot. So I just did that because I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know that that general, premise is accurate. So for women, I'm talking to y'all. For us to really, meditation is a great way. We're moving into solution now because we're the second half of the show. If we learn how to not think so much, I made up this expression on my motivational cards. I think, therefore I am screwed. In this particular case, it's I think, therefore I am not screwed, right? But to get out of this head during sex can turn it into lovemaking. Getting out of this crazy hamster, why should I do this for him, or why doesn't he do this for me, or why isn't he saying, or la 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 la. It's like, shut the fork up and just be here. Feel the sheets, feel your toes curl, feel his hands, feel whatever it is that's touching you, wherever it is, and just feel that. That's one of my practice exercises, and you all can do this, is to do that with food. Now, I've heard that you can tell how a guy is in bed, or how your partner's going to be in bed, by watching how he eats. Have you ever heard that?
No, but
Yes, I heard that long time ago, and so I would watch, my dates eat their food to see, what they were doing. I don't exactly know what the Bible what when they chew with their mouth open, what does that mean? Or when they chew, when they make, pleasure noises, what does that mean? But I do know that the exercise that you've seen on my social, Doc Balance on Instagram, Dr. Marissa everywhere else, where I am one with my food, is exactly the practice of being one where you are. So that when I'm eating and I'm enjoying, like, okay, you want to see what it looks like? I'm going to be one with my coffee right now. Okay, this is how I'm one with my coffee. Mm. Okay, that is one with my coffee, which means I tasted every bit of the coffee taste and the creamer taste and the way it felt going down my throat and into my chest. Like, I am there with my coffee. And I do that with my favorite sushi or my favorite food, because when I'm one with that deliciousness of life, I'm present. And present is a gift. All right. So try that with when you're in bed. Are you really, and I'm talking more to the women, when you're in bed and you're initiating or they're initiating, be there. Feel the sheets. Feel I don't know if you're doing it in the office. No, don't do it in the office. But if you're, wherever you're doing it, be there and see if that doesn't enhance your pleasure or your ability to climax.
You're so funny, Dr. Marissa. All right, so two things. I'll backtrack here. What I like to do in bed is I'll like blindfold the girls, or like put like a blanket over their face, because that cuts out one of their senses, which enhances the rest, right? So she's not looking around, she's not like it's all about the feel, all about the touch, What I do.
That's very good. I'm gonna have to try that whenever that opportunity arises. Who knows? It's only been 5 years, 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 hours, and a minute, but who's counting?
And then going back to the food, I don't. It's funny because like I agree with that. Like if you are, I don't know. One time I was eating an apple, and this lady or this woman was really watching me on how I ate that apple.
She must have had that same advice.
Yes, and so I try to play it off and like try to eat that apple all sexy. I was like trying to take it slow and have my lip roll over and stuff. It was so funny. But another thing is, being relaxed, right? So some of the best sex that I've had personally is like I give a girl a massage before. And it's not like, hey, let me give you a massage, then we can have sex. It's just like, let me give you a massage, and then it just ends up having sex after. But like getting the body and the mind relaxed is definitely essential when it comes to it. I mean, guys, they don't really have to be relaxed, But I also think that's probably why one night stands, like that sex is not as good as sex with your significant other, right? Because maybe you do have a lot of things on your mind because it's a one night stand, or like your body's just not comfortable with each other, or you just don't have that strong chemistry, that bond that relaxes both of you guys' bodies. Because this is not just like personal experience. People tell me all the time, they're like, oh, like they have one night stands, but it's not as good as having sex with the person you're having a relationship with. And I think that kind of gravitates to the whole like mental process of thinking, like especially if it's a one night stand, you probably have a lot of thoughts on your mind, like, do I trust this person? Like, am I gonna mess up with this person, or is he just using me, or vice versa? Like there's probably a lot that goes on, especially
See, now
in
I'm gonna disagree with you on that one, because I would, for me, the not that I'm advocating or supporting one night stands, but for a woman like me who is a thinker and an analyzer, I would have more things on my mind if I was with someone that I was, starting to have a relationship with, wondering, does he like me? Is he turned on by me? Da, da, da. Whereas a one night stand is just, in and out, wham, bam, thank you, sir. So for me, I would think that there's even more thinking and analyzing going on when it is someone who is significant. I don't know if that's a gender difference, or, if I'm just in MSU making shiitake up university right now. But when you were speaking, I was thinking, well, actually, I would think it'd be easier to, get into that animalistic, that's all you're there for. I don't know. But let's go back and circle back to solution for if you are insecure. Now, I'm glad the reason why it's called Straight Talk is we talk about things that, people don't talk about a lot. And insecurities, I realized, is one of those topics is nobody wants to admit they're insecure, right? Or, the what's coming out with the highlight and the focus and the spotlight on mental health, which is great, is I don't know anybody who's come out and talk about mental health issues who isn't at some level insecure about something. That insecurity then anchors your dis-ease with yourself or others. So let's talk about that. So if you have any insecurities, and I think to have an insecurity is to be human, that if you are that sure of yourself and you have absolutely no insecurity about anything, you're either a narcissist or you've had this charmed life that has had no adversity at all, which I don't know anybody who's like that except for the extreme narcissist. Okay. So somewhere along the line, somebody criticized you about something. So if it's about your looks or your ability in bed, which we've highlighted as the top two, then you're gonna carry that. And if you aren't careful and you're focused on that, you're going to collect even more data to support that BS belief system that you hold, which is the law of attraction. It works whether you believe it or not. What you focus on grows bigger. So let's say you come into a relationship, and almost every one of my clients that comes in for relationship coaching says, I don't know whether he really finds me attractive. And here's the deal. No matter how much a person says, I think you are hot. Like anytime I'm vulnerable about the way I look about myself, I instantly get messages and posts and comments from, I think you're so beautiful and you are just the most, blah, blah, blah. And it's lovely, but none of that will undo what I believe about myself. The only person that's going to undo that BS belief system, the buck stops right over here. And that's the work, folks. I have to stop believing the lies that some bully, it takes the bullies were bullied, right? Hurt people. So that expression, you're ugly, or my husband's introducing me as obese to people who have not met me yet, and or anything that I've collected. When I was modeling, they would say, lose this and don't get fat and you're getting fat. All of those things I hold here. And the only one that can flush this crap out is me. So how do we do that? We begin to create the habit of identifying the critic that is saying these things. And I've done this tool before. Give a name to that voice, give a name, whoever was the most critical, use their initials so you can grab it and go, hi, I've heard you before. There's an exercise in this book. The Asian Oprah giveaway today is an audiobook copy of this book. It is not written as a psychologist telling you how to be happy. It's written by one of y'all, one of us, who has issues around this stuff. And it's called the insulting game. Write down every single insult that has added to your insecurity your entire life. And then you can direct your critic to say, you called me fat like a gazillion times. Nothing new here. If you have something new, give it to me. But in the meantime, relax. Your criticisms are not true right now. You're doing the best that you can to get Love Your Body Project 5.0. You are, you're never going to look like you did when you were a model. You have to enjoy and love and appreciate your body as it is 88% of the time. And you are getting yourself out there, you're speed dating, there is someone who is going to be your next chapter in your book of romance. And that's how I soothe and begin to stop the insecurity from continuing to roll like that ball down the hill, so that I keep myself either fat or unavailable or with that wall, so that no one can come in. So that's my solution. Sam, you mentioned, blindfolding women so that they're, into their, that's a good solution, but that's my mental solution.
I think, because it's good to get compliments from, people from all over. But I feel like in my personal experience with someone who I really care about, especially if it was my girlfriend, whatever, and what she told me, if she was in love with me and she would tell me hey, you look great. Cause there's at one point where I was yoked out, I was solid, and I really liked my body. And then I kind of slacked off a little bit. And then I was kind of complaining left and right here and there. But that's from what I saw, but that's not what she sees. And I was so in love with her when she told me, she was like, "Hey, you're fine. You're da 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 da. Like you're actually big. This and this." Like, it supported my mental health, because that's someone who I care about and someone who I trust. So when she tells me something, I start to believe it, you know, and
That's
like
fair.
all the people in society that, yeah, like if they compliment me, yeah, I'll take it. But my own thinking is stronger than just some random person's. But when it's someone who I really care about and I trust 100%, when they tell me something, it really starts to change my mental aspect, which is good, but it can also be bad, right? Because then they can say some really mean things and bully you, and that can take a deep turn, like your husband, like that was wrong of him. Like I know you guys were married, and like the respect level was just not there because that affected you, and it can go both ways. But with me, for sure, when I love and trust somebody and they tell me something, then it starts to get me thinking, like reflecting on myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, great point. Great point. And yes, I picked him. I picked my husband based on what I grew up with being called fat, ugly, and clumsy. That was the
mhm,
theme song I grew up with about myself. And I dragged that oversized emotional baggage into my present and picked a man who fit that, going to continue to criticize and judge me for the way I looked, right? And
mhm,
withhold sex. And so that just completely solidified that BS about myself. And no matter who says, no matter what compliment I get, I will say, "Mwah," even losing weight. Uh, I just heard someone the other day, someone complimented you look great. You lost so much weight. And she said, yeah, I've lost 30 pounds, but I have another 30 to go. And it's so frustrating. And da, da, da. And it's one of those, can you say you're okay with where you are for now? Because when you can, that power in appreciating where you are and always ready for more, then you can move towards that more. But if you're constantly criticizing and unhappy with where you are, body wise, whatever, you're not going to be able to enjoy what is right there in front of you or who is right there beside you in bed for the topic at hand. So African American saying, I love it. When there is no enemy within, no one outside can hurt you.
mm,
So if you're insecure, let's do that work. Let's do the work around liking and loving yourself 88% of the time. Not all the time, then you're a narcissist. But 88% of the time, if I can say, you're not bad looking, and hey, you're kind of cute today, and all this. That's why I dress up. People go, you're always dressed up. Oh my God, why are you? And for one simple reason, I feel better when I dress up. So I do it for me. Is it nice getting compliments? Absolutely. But compliments are a little tricky because I can remember saying, you didn't say anything about my outfit, or you didn't tell me I looked beautiful. You didn't tell me I looked nice. And then he would say, you look beautiful. And then I'd say, that doesn't count because I had to ask you for the compliment.
right.
So that is, again, counterproductive. My point, you got to do it for yourself. That self validation, the key to happiness.
Mhm. Also, going back to it, what you were saying earlier on the show, is even just like being present, right? Because I analyze everything, and that's a problem because
Mhm.
you should not be. Well, I mean, to an extent, you should not be analyzing your performance in bed. I mean, you should, but not like
Not in
not
the moment,
not in
not
the
in the
moment.
moment,
No.
but so let's go into your communication phase here. Communication is everything. If you are not, if you're feeling insecure, right? let's go to the in bed part. So if you're a guy or a girl and you're feeling insecure in bed, should you talk about that in the middle of the actions?
It kills the vibe sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, but maybe that's needed because like you don't want to be going through that in the middle of it. You know what I mean? Because it's not gonna be enjoyable, and you don't have to have sex. You know what I mean? So I would definitely say bring up the insecurities because I will feel bad if you were insecure and you didn't tell me about it, and we didn't stop to talk about it, and I'm still like pushing forward. You know what I mean? Like,
Literally.
yeah.
So I think that I think regardless of whether it kills the moment or not, if someone is feeling insecure in the middle, to say, and this is what Dr. John Gray said to me, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. If you missed that interview, go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe. He said that when a woman can express her vulnerability, that enhances the pleasure for a man, in the sense that when she's vulnerable and then he can express. So let's role play this. So you're in the middle of the pushing, and I'm like I'm not there, and I'm just in my head, not yours. And I'm like really, I'm just like, oh, I'm not here, and I'm not feeling it, and I'm not, and I'm just not feeling good, and I'm embarrassed, and I'm, thinking about, does he even think I'm attractive, and blah blah blah. And for me to go, and just to look in his eyes and just say, you know what, right now, can you just tell me how much I no can do you love me? He said, just even asking, do you love me, in the middle, and him saying, I love you so much. So the being vulnerable to say that I actually want some affirmation from you, that you do care about me, that this is meaningful, will help me get into that more receptive and less insecure place that I am.
Mm. So that's a mental insecurity, right? We can say.
Emotional, mental, emotional.
What about physical? What's
Hi,
up,
Oracle
Doc?
Nation. What's up, Doc? We're talking about insecurity and sex. So chime in.
Yeah.
Oracle
What's one of your
Nation.
insecurities? That's
Yeah, he's chicken in from New York.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, it is awesome. So we've got 5 minutes or 6 minutes left to talk about this. So chime in. But
Yeah. So my ex, she had a kid, so she had stretch marks on her stomach, and she was insecure about that. You know. So how would you address that when it comes to a physical insecurity?
so my first thought was to, go and kiss it.
Hey.
Yeah, like
That's
like
honestly
like
that's what I
I
did.
mean, did you do that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I for sure.
Now, my second response is like, because I have scars. Like I had my
Mm,
appendix out when I was 18 on my birthday in China, in the middle of nowhere, and on local anesthesia. Another story. And so it's not a small scar; it's a pretty large scar, because it wasn't done. They had to. It was, anyways. It was a huge deal. And then I've had both hips replaced. So I have scars on both sides in different places. So I'm insecure about that. So
mm,
battle wounds I have, right? And the most the best approach that a guy has had to that, because I'm very, sensitive and insecure about those as well, is they asked what it was, right? And then when I told, they're like, "Oh, ouch, are you okay?" Like a dad with a little kid who has fallen down and stubbed their toe or scraped their knee, and scoops up the child and gives them a hug and says, "I'm so sorry, and that must have hurt." That was the best way for me. Not ignoring it, right? Not going and kissing it necessarily, because then I'd be even more embarrassed that they noticed it. But, treating it with care.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
my solution.
Me personally, with any insecurity or any like physical scarring or anything like that, I don't mind. I accept it only because I realize this is part of the world. I mean, no one's perfect and we all have something, and I honestly kind of embrace it. Now, some women, they're insecure, so they don't like when you know,
Point out.
yeah, or like target it, you know what I mean? But like to me, it's fine. Like it's okay. Like we all have insecurities, and like I don't think you should have to worry. That's what I usually say, and
Right.
and
And
it kind of helps.
and for me, as a grown ageless woman, it's my work to, I say to myself, um, my goal is to see my body the way a horn dog would. Like, it doesn't matter, right? None of the scars matter. Nothing. It's just like, let me have my pleasure. So that's what my goal is, to be able to see myself that way. Gosh, I had an important point and now I've forgotten it. Final word. I just got the 3-minute warning from Polly.
Mm. My final word is
Oh, I got it. I found it. I
Go ahead,
found it. I found it. So another way to get past your insecurity with your partner, this is advice for the partner, is find something that you love about your body. The same way, like if you were with me, don't get excited here. There were some rumors at the beginning of this series, but let's say we were doing it. And you would, what's something that you really like about the way I look? Putting you on the spot. Yeah.
I honestly, you have really great skin.
Oh,
yeah.
Perfect. So you would say, "I just love your skin." It, as you're, in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I love your skin. I love the feel of your skin. I love the look of your skin. That will take my focus off my scars or any of the things that are distracting me from the pleasure. So that's another tool you can use, literally, to help make that into lovemaking and pleasure instead of pain from your insecurity. And that's my final word. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from her living room on our special series called Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
Sam Works.
It's been a wonderful morning. Thanks for joining us as we continue to find ways to make more happiness in our relationships, intimate and otherwise. It's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through, inner peace. Now, tomorrow, Alon Carter, Tempting Conversations. I'm sure we'll be continuing this particular conversations. Now, go and have the best day ever. See you tomorrow.